Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and it was quite refreshing this morning to log online and see Kate Moss was back in the press, subtly shading Amber Heard, basically calling her a liar while explaining why she testified for Johnny Depp. She actually did a very nice interview over in the BBC and talks a lot about her history, her modeling career, and revealed a lot of stuff, including something about Mark Wahlberg. We're going to go through it all, but I wanted to start with her comment about Johnny Depp. She was asked specifically about coming forward and speaking on behalf of Johnny, as well as fashion designer John Galliano, who had his own allegations. And here was her answer to that.
I believe in the truth, and I believe in fairness and justice. I know that John Galliano is not a bad person. He had an alcohol problem, and people turn. People aren't themselves when they drink, and they say things that they would never say if they were sober. I know the truth about Johnny. I know he never kicked me down the stairs. I had to say that truth.
I had to say the truth. She knew the truth. Amber wasn't telling the truth. Very nice to see her come out and just say it again, definitively. I had to say the truth. And it's made some headlines around there. I know the truth. I had to say it. I wasn't down the stairs, as she wanted to sort of keep telling everybody in her own way. Just the way Amber did it, the confidence of, I knew it was going to happen. I heard it. She really just didn't think Kate was going to come out and blow it up. She just didn't. And it was so nice when she did. And actually the whole article, or rather podcast she did, this was on the British, what was this called again? This is the BBC Sounds. It was on their Radio 4's Desert Island Discs, where she talks about what she would bring to a desert island, etc. But she really does go more into her career, and she doesn't really talk that much. She doesn't do a lot of interviews. And so it was actually pretty refreshing to hear some of her take on her career, the infamous photos, which we'll go through, as well as, being with Marky Mark back in the day, Mark Wahlberg, and those Calvin Klein ads. There was a good breakdown here. CBS sort of really shared some good pieces of the interview that I'm going to go through with you. But the most jarring one to me was the fact that she explained just how awful it was when she was young. At age 15, 14, 15, she was already in her first photo shoot for a bra catalog, and something just fell off. The photographer just said, "Take your top off." I did. I was shy back then. I could feel there was something wrong. Apparently he then wanted her to keep going, and she got her stuff and she ran away. She told the program host. Experiences like that is what sharpened my instincts. I can kind of tell a wrong one a mile away. A wrong one. She knows when something's going wrong. She said there was another photo shoot with Corinne Day, who pushed her to snort like a pig. I cried a lot, explained how she felt uncomfortable to being asked to get, without, to do more of those. I got to be careful these keywords. Bearing all. I didn't want to do that. I was really self-conscious about my body. And she would say, if you don't do it, I'm not going to book you for L. And I would cry. It was quite difficult and painful revisiting the experiences. She says Corinne was one of her best friends. I really loved her, but she was a very tricky person to work with. But the pictures were amazing. She got what she wanted, and I suffered for them. But in the end, they did me a world of good, really. I mean, they did change my career. And this is the images we're speaking about. The first cover shoot she did with Vogue back then really put her on the map. And it was that article that really sort of set the tone for who is this. And she was, different than all the voluptuous models that she's going to explain as well. In 1992, Moss was selected by Calvin Klein for an underwear campaign with Mark Wahlberg. Moss said she didn't have fond memories of that shoot either. Wahlberg was very macho, and it was all about him and his, he had a big entourage. She felt objectified, vulnerable, and scared. Moss said she had severe anxiety ahead of the shoot and was given Valium by a doctor. It would manifest as like nausea, and I couldn't get out of bed. After the shoot, it was fine, and it kind of wore off, the anxiety. I think they played on my vulnerability. I was quite young and innocent, and Calvin loved that. Now, I have some of the images from that. This is when she was sort of in her apartment. She did some more series with the photographer, and that's when the whole heroin chic sort of theme started running throughout Vogue 1993 and beyond, where she got backlash for being too thin. I was a scapegoat for a lot of people's problems. I was never anorexic. I'd never done that. I was thin because I didn't get fed at shoots or in shows, and I'd always just been thin. I think it was a shock because I wasn't voluptuous. I was just a normal girl. I wasn't glamazon model, and I think that shocked them. That was a big deal back then. And as I was going through some of these, this was that her friend Corin Day, who she was friends with and died back in 2010. Goes through some of the. I'd be careful. Some of these. I guess these are safe to show. But these were some of the sort of those images back then at that time period. If you go through the whole Calvin Klein obsession era, hold on, like there's. Man, some of the fashion models magazines back then really just bared all. And I got to be careful on this platform, but it was this look. Here was the one I was looking for. Like literally, she's not wearing anything in that shot. As you Google them, but you know, this was the style back then, and this became the sort of thinner models in that '90s phase became a big deal. I remember it. Here's the Calvin Klein obsession, which I can't show you at all because I didn't realize. I guess in certain countries it really showed all. But this was I remember this campaign in the 90s. This was very popular and it's really started a trend. And so she was the backlash for a lot of that trend because that was how I remember Kate Moss as a kid. She's too skinny. She's too skinny. Blah, 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 was what everyone screamed. And, you know, is it really her fault? Was that her fault that she was hired to be a model and did it? No. And she had to deal with those ramifications. And as they go through a lot of these images, you know, it takes me back to sort of remember this era. And now it's like, you know, we have all shapes and sizes now on magazine covers, which I think rightfully so. But yeah, it was a tough time for her at that point. As she says, I do believe she was a scapegoat for a lot of it. She talks about some of the other incidents throughout her career where she had to apologize for, you know, being caught, you know, she was very mad because she's like, everyone was doing it at that time for them to focus on me and try to take my daughter away at the time. It was very hypocritical. She then had to do I kind of had to do an apology because people were really looking up to me. I had to apologize. She then defended that designer, John Galliano, after he made some not great comments in 2011. And then because he was alcoholic, apparently, Kate defended him, knowing him better, as well as Johnny. I believe in truth and I believe in fairness and justice. I know that John was not a bad person. And then back to Johnny. I know the truth about Johnny. I know he never did that. I had to say that truth. She now runs her own modeling agency, which I didn't know, with her own daughter. I've said to her, and I think this is great advice, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. If you don't want to do a shoot, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't want to model, don't do it. I mean, that's the best advice you can give anybody in this industry. I think anybody in general. If you don't feel comfortable, don't do it. If someone's trying to force you to do something you don't feel comfortable doing, well, then that's a huge red flag, and take that seriously. Take care of all my models. I make sure they're all with agents at shoots, so when they're being taken advantage of, there's something there to say, I don't think that's appropriate. That's what I can do. She moved to her English countryside and said she's now obsessed with gardening and says her party days are far behind me. It's boring to be me now. I mean, I love a dance, but I'm not really into being out of control anymore. Well, I'm definitely not into being out of control. I like to go to bed. I like to get up early and do my meditation before anyone's up. I like to be in control. So there you go. Update on Kate Moss. Good to hear from her, and so grateful she did step up for Johnny in that case because, man, that sure made Amber look stupid. So keep the slams coming, and good for her for coming out and actually filling this in on what happened to her in the past. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you haven't already, can you double check that you're subscribed, hit that bell for all alerts, and smash that like button, and leave a comment down below. We will be live later today. I got a lot of stories I want to go through, but also, is Elon Musk getting a hit piece online? Is the Wall Street Journal lying about an affair with a Google executive? We're going to break all that down and so much more live today, so make sure you join us here live every day on Popcorn Planet.